I hope that you are well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 5 English lesson on perfect verb tenses. And before we start with our lesson, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, then we're going to select the subject of language arts, grade 5. Then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of perfect verb tenses. So perfect verb tenses. So chapter is perfect verb tenses. Our subject is English language grade 5. And the lessons that we're going to be focusing on under the chapter of perfect verb tenses is to use the perfect verb tenses, to choose between the past tense and past participle, and to form the perfect verb tense. All right, so we're doing perfect verb tenses. So the perfect tense, right? The perfect tense, it usually describes completed action. So the perfect tense usually describes completed action. And it tells us about something that has, had, or will have happened. So the perfect verb tense, once again, because that is our topic, it usually describes completed action or actions, and it usually tells us about something that has happened, had happened, or will have happened. All right. So the present perfect tense, right? It tells us about something that has happened or has started already, and it uses the helping verb has or have. And even before we continue, right? Or before we continue, yeah, we have perfect verb tenses, right? And when it comes to tenses, your tenses will tell you about whether it is either in the present, in the past, or in the future. And if we say verb tenses, then it means that it's the action that takes place either in the past, in the present, or in the future. All right, so once again, we see the perfect tense. It describes completed action and it tells us about something that has, had, or will have happened. And remember, we said that tenses is to do with present tense, past tense, or future tense, right? So now we're going to the first one that says the present perfect tense. And the present perfect tense, it tells us about something that has happened or that has started already. And it uses the helping verb has, or and it uses the helping verb have. And if we look at an example, right, of the present perfect tense. So if we look at that example, we say the airplane has arrived at the gate already. So the airplane has arrived at the gate already. And John and Erica have played the violin for 5 years. So we have the present perfect tense, which we said it tells us about something that has happened or something that has started already, right? And it uses the helping verb has and have. And here we have examples where we say the airplane has arrived at the gate already, or John and Erica have played the violin for 5 years. And then we have the past perfect tense. Remember, we said that tenses is to do with either present tense, past tense, future tense. So when it comes to the past, right, the past is something that has happened already. So the past perfect tense, it tells about something that had happened before, something else. So it tells us about something that had happened before, something else. And when it comes to the past perfect tense, it basically helps uses the helping verb had. And an example of the past perfect tense, is we had finished dinner by the time Tim arrived. And then we have the future perfect tense. Once again, remember I did say tenses have to do with present tense, past tense, future tense, right? So then we have the future perfect tense. And this tells you about something that will have happened. All right. And then when it comes to the future perfect tense, right, which tells us about something that will have happened. And if we look at an example, right, of the future perfect tense, we say the race, sorry, will have started by noon tomorrow. So the race will have started by noon tomorrow morning. And an example is the race will have started by noon tomorrow. So the race will have started by noon tomorrow. So we will then say the race will have started by noon tomorrow. So at the moment, we have our perfect verb tense. And remember, we said our tenses are to do with present tense, past tense, future tense. And here we have the present perfect tense, right? And it tells us about something that has already or has started already. And then we have the past tense, which tells us about something that had happened before something else. and it's usually the helping verb had. And then lastly, we have the future perfect tense, which tells us about something that will have happened by a certain point in the future. Like it uses the helping verb will, will have. All right. So we're doing perfect verb tenses, right? And remember, verb is to do with the action. It's an action word. So if you're doing waiting for verb tenses, then it is the action that they do on these specific times. So once again, we have our perfect verb tenses. So remember, we said we are doing perfect verb tenses. So we have the perfect verb tense, and it usually describes ongoing action. All right. And we are doing our tutorial lesson also on aplusstudents.ca. Right? And remember, we said that there's different tenses as long as you know it's in the present tense, past, and future tense. All right, let's go to aplusstudents.ca. Now we're going to use the perfect verb tense. So the perfect verb tense usually describes completed action. And we already made mention that the perfect verb tense is usually describes complete actions, and it tells you about something that has had or will have in the that will have happened, right? And then we have the perfect tense, which usually describes completed action. All right. So now we are by using the perfect verb tense. We are using it. And we made mention already of the present tense, the past tense, as well as the future tense. And the present perfect tense, it tells us about something that has happened or has started already. And we say that it uses the helping verb has or have. And in the past perfect tense, it tells us about something that had happened before something else. And it uses the helping verb had. And in the future perfect tense tells us about something that will have happened by a certain point in the future. And it uses the helping verb, which is will have. All right, so now we're looking at our first activity. It says, I couldn't remember when I looked at the car, so I ran back to check. All right. So yeah, it says, I couldn't remember whether I locked the car, so I ran back to check. So yeah, I couldn't remember whether I had locked the car. All right. We need to also complete the sentence with the correct helping verb. By the time we noticed that our freezer was broken, all our ice cream melted. So by the time we noticed that our freezer was broken, all our ice cream. And by the time that we noticed that our freezer was broken, like we said, all of the fridge or the ice cream had melted. So we're going to complete the sentences, right? We're going to complete the sentences by So now we're going to the first one, which is the perfect verb tense, which usually describes completed action. And we see that these perfect tenses, it describes complete actions, right? And yes, we say that the perfect verb tense, it usually it's completed action, and it helps to tell about something that has had or will have happened, right? And the present tense, we only use has and have. So with the present perfect tense, we're just going to be using the helping verb has or have. So let's go to our test. So by the end of this week of camp, Vivian, do we say, has learned to ride a horse? Or Vivian had plus, A plus, learned how to ride a horse? All right. So we can say by the end of this week of camp, we say we have learned to ride a horse, or we has, no, it can't be has, it must then be we will have learned how to ride a horse. So dad finished carving the turkey and it looks delicious. So we can then rather say dad will have finished the carving, or dad has finished carving the turkey and it looks delicious. All right. So we can say dad, do we say dad will have carving the turkey and it looks delicious, or dad has finished carving the turkey and it looks delicious? And this one comes again, which is Dad has carved, Dad finished carving the turkey and it looks delicious. So Dad will have finished carving the turkey and it looks delicious. Oh, Dad has finished. So has is correct. So well done. No, has is actually correct. For I just read it and for me the sentence didn't make sense, so I apologize. Danelle never responded to my text messages because she, do we say will have misplaced her phone the other day, or she had misplaced her phone the other day? So Danelle never responded to my text message because she misplaced her phone the other day. All right. So when it comes to the now never responded to my text messages because she had misplaced her phone the day before. So well done. Had is correct. And I thought we were out of milk, but then I forgot a new carton is in the refrigerator. So do I say I had thought we were out of milk or I will have thought we were out of milk? So I will have thought or I had thought we were out of milk. So I had thought that we were out of milk. So well done. Had is correct. So we can say that I thought I, do we say have heard or had heard someone call my name, but when I turned around, no one was there. So we can say, I thought I had heard someone call my name, but when I turned around, no one was there. So I had. And had is correct. So we must either choose had or has. So before her compass broke, Do we say Gabby had brought it on every one of her sailing trips? Or Gabby has brought it on every one of her sailing trips? All right. So we can say before her compass broke, Gabby, do we say has brought it on every one of her sailing trips? Or had? Let's go with had. And had is correct. And we are recording the president's speech because it, do we say, will have ended by the time we get home? Or because it has ended by the time we get home? So do we say it has ended or it will have ended? So we can say because it has ended by the time we get home. Oh, so it will have ended, not has. So will have is like the ongoing action, right? So it's ongoing action, so it will have by the time we get home. And then we need to choose between the past participle, right? And also the past tense. And we said that the perfect tense usually tells about something that has had or will have happened, and it uses the form of helping verb to have with the past participle of a verb. And the past participle of a verb, it is usually the same as the past tense form, but it's not always like that. And some verbs have irregular past participles, so you're just gonna have to remember it. And we said once again that the past participle of a verb is usually the same as the past tense form, but not always. Some verbs have irregular past participles, and you're going to have to remember that. For example, Toby had seen the movie. Then we also have the tree has grown taller, has grown taller. right? And then we have the past tense, right? And the past tense do not use helping verbs to have, it just uses the past tense form of the verb. And it's irregular. So Toby saw the movie. So see to saw. I ran a marathon and Clay ate dinner. So we're basically just going to have to know the past tense. But the past participle, they use the some of the verbs such as maybe has or had, or has or have, right? So we're going to complete the sentence with the correct form of the verb. So we need to complete the sentence with the correct form of the verb. President Clinton often, do we say spoke about the importance of good education? Yes. So we're going with the first one, which is he spoke about the importance of good education. All right, then we're going to the last one, which is to complete the sentence with the correct form of the verb. It says President Clinton often, so we say President Clinton often spoke about the importance of good education. All right, so I don't think Martha has, do we say has wore or has worn that beautiful dress before? Spoke is correct. And I don't think Martha has wore or worn that dress before. And I don't think Martha has, we said, worn that beautiful dress before. And worn is correct, right? Let's do the last one. We need to complete the sentence with the correct form of the verb. Wendy has, do we say Wendy has chose or Wendy has chosen to attend Stanford University in the fall? So we can say Wendy has chosen to attend Stanford University in the morning. And chosen is correct. All right, so that is the end of our lesson on perfect verb tenses, right? And we said that when it comes to tenses, we literally speak about the present, past, and future tenses. All right. So the perfect verb tenses, it is about present tense, past tense, as well as our future tense. But this is now the end of our lesson, grade 5. I hope that you're going to have a good day further. Goodbye.